My name is Joe. Started this channel to share my experiences living and building business here in Ghana. I'm a Ghanaian born. If you don't know my story, Ghanaian born, lived in Ghana till the age of 10. My mother took me to the UK, my brother and I, and then been there for over 30 years. So I decided I always had a dream or the vision to come back and uh, and live a life here. So, and obviously you can't live a life without doing business, right? You need something to do, something to be passionate about. So I've been to a few other things, but today's video is not really talking about business. It's more like I wanted to share some of my experiences, like what the UK does to you in a negative sense. Not when I say negative sense, some of the kind of I think living in the UK, living abroad, it has its benefits. You know, you learn certain mindsets which is conducive to getting results, conducive to um, making money, working. It gives you a better and healthier attitude towards work. But and you know that seriousness is there. You learn that. But there is a negative side living abroad. For example, when I came to Ghana after being away for so long, one of the things, taking Trotro, I thought I would get a car once I come down straight away. I would get a car. And then I sat in a Trotro a couple of times and I thought to myself, wait a minute, this is not that bad. Because obviously in the UK, um, you there's you have something called personal space and you are not really squished up like that. Obviously UK has a public transport, but it's not like you are squished up like how you are in a Trotro in a way. Um, so when I was in the Trotro, being squished up, touching shoulder to shoulder with people that you are sitting next to. Sometimes you have kids, and sometimes they'll be sitting on your lap. Maybe someone, a mother, has a child, and she cannot get into the Trotro. Trotro is basically public transport here in Ghana, and sometimes they can't, get on the Trotro with their child. So what they do is they will give it to the person closest. Oh, hold my child for me while I get on, right? And the person that's handing their child over to you so they can get on. I mean, they don't know who you are, right? They don't know, you know, what your background is. But in Africa, in Ghana, it's normal that we just hand you the child, hold my child for me while I get on the bus, right? And it's quite liberating to see. By in the UK, nobody will hand over their child saying, okay, hold my child for me while I get on the bus. You don't get that. So, and sitting in a trotro after a couple of times made me realize, you know what, this is not so bad. Why waste money and go and buy a car for yourself? Right now I drive, but that's not the point. For the best part, when I was living, working here sporadically from 2016, especially 2021, I didn't own a car, right? I took trotro for most part. So yeah, I just didn't see the need of spending money going to buy a trotro. So that's what I did. And spending money going to buy a car, so I just used the trotro. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think living in the UK, you get, so, you want your private space. Most people, that's what they do once they move from the UK or the US. They have their own car. But personally, I didn't see the need of it. So for you know a few years, 4 years, I didn't have my own car. So that's one of the things that the UK takes away from you in terms of just being in close proximity to people and just talking with people. In Ghana, people will just start talking to you, right? The trotro, they share their opinions. But in the UK, everyone just straight on looking ahead. So you lose, growing up in the UK, you lose that kind of humanity. especially in London. And also in Ghana, when you are living abroad for so long and you come back to Africa, to Ghana, for example, you might think, you see a lot of children just playing out. You see a 5-year-old or a 5-year-old and maybe big brother or big sister who might be 8-year-old or 10-year-old walking to school by themselves, right? They'll be walking to school by themselves on the side of the pavement. And you're thinking, that's irresponsible, or you see them just playing around. Little kids, babies, you see them playing around. And sometimes you think, their parents are not responsible for having these kids, about and playing around. What if someone kidnaps them? So you begin to be very judgmental. But then in Africa, that's just the way of life, right? It's just a normal way of living. They allow their kids to go and, venture, explore, and play around. But because the UK, every child needs to be supervised at all times. When you come to Ghana, you think that's how life should be, and you see kids just being all over the place. You think, they don't know how to parent. But who am I? Who are you? Who are we to judge them? So living abroad for too long, you lose touch of that. And this one is a bit silly. Um, living abroad too much makes you frightened of certain things, that it gives you certain fears and phobias that one wouldn't normally have. For example, the fear of spiders. Because I remember as a 10-year-old, from being born in Ghana to the age I was 10 when my mother took me to the UK, I never had any fear of spiders. As a matter of fact, I used to play with spiders, right? We call it kwekwanansi here. I used to play with them. But when you've been living outside for too long and you don't see spiders, and especially watch certain movies like Arachnophobia. I remember watching this movie, Arachnophobia, and I remember it giving me a fear of spiders for a while, until obviously I got over that, because when I came back to Ghana, I started seeing spiders all over the place, right? And it reminded me that, why am I scared of spiders? I never used to be scared of high spiders. But when I was in abroad, especially my teenage years, I was scared of spiders for some reason. But when I came back, when I started traveling back to Ghana, because spiders are everywhere, it's like, yeah, well, so what? So living abroad, I'm not saying is all bad. If you have the opportunity to go abroad, definitely go, so that you can see another way of life. It will change your mentality, change your mindset. But at the same time, it gives you, there are, downsides.